My husband wants to take maternity leave instead of me, claiming he'll be a better primary caregiver. I'm torn between my career and my desire to bond with our newborn. I never thought I'd be writing this post, but here I am, sitting in my home office at 2 a.m., listening to the soft whirring of my breast pump and trying to make sense of the emotional tornado that's taken over my life. My name is Sarah, I'm 32, and I gave birth to my beautiful daughter, Lily, just 3 weeks ago. But instead of basking in the glow of new motherhood, I find myself grappling with an unexpected dilemma that's threatening to upend everything I thought I knew about myself, my marriage, and my future. Let me rewind a bit. I've been with my husband, Tom, for almost a decade now. We met in grad school, me studying law, him pursuing his PhD in child psychology. From the beginning, we were that annoyingly perfect couple that everyone else loved to hate. We shared the same values, supported each other's ambitions, and always seemed to be on the same page about everything. When we got married 5 years ago, we agreed that we both wanted children someday, but we were in no rush. We were both focused on building our careers, and we were happy. Fast forward to last year. I had just made partner at my law firm, the youngest woman to do so in the firm's history. I was on top of the world, pulling in a 6-figure salary and finally feeling like I was making a real difference in my field. Tom had established himself as a respected child psychologist, with a thriving private practice and a position as an adjunct professor at the local university. Life was good, and we decided it was time to start trying for a baby. To our surprise and delight, I got pregnant almost immediately. The first few months were a whirlwind of excitement, planning, and dreaming about our future as parents. We converted the guest room into a nursery, attended birthing classes, and spent countless hours discussing how we'd balance our careers with parenthood. I was determined to be a hands-on mom while still maintaining my position at the firm. Tom was supportive, assuring me that we'd figure it out together. But then, about halfway through my pregnancy, something changed. Tom started spending more and more time reading parenting books and attending extra prenatal classes. At first, I thought it was sweet, he was just being an attentive father-to-be. But then he started talking about how he wished he could be the one carrying the baby, how he couldn't wait to experience every moment of our child's early development. I should have seen it coming, but I was too wrapped up in my own expectations to notice the signs. It wasn't until I was 7 months pregnant that Tom dropped the bombshell. "Sarah," he said one night as we were lying in bed, his hand resting on my swollen belly. "I've been thinking. What if I took the maternity leave instead of you?" I laughed, thinking he was joking. But when I turned to look at him, his expression was dead serious. "What do you mean?" I asked, propping myself up on my elbows. Tom took a deep breath. "I mean, what if I became the primary caregiver for the baby? I could take an extended leave from work, maybe even transition to part-time or work from home. You could go back to the firm after your physical recovery, and I'd stay home with the baby." I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. But I'm the mother," I stammered, unable to articulate the flood of emotions coursing through me. "I know," Tom said gently. "And you'll always be the mother. But think about it, Sarah. You've worked so hard to get where you are in your career. You're making a real difference in people's lives. And let's be honest, you're the breadwinner in our family. It makes more financial sense for you to go back to work." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Yes, I loved my job, and yes, I had worked incredibly hard to get where I was. But I was also looking forward to being a mom, to having that special bond that only comes from being there for every moment of your child's early life. I had always imagined myself as the kind of mother who would balance career and family effortlessly, proving that women really could have it all. "But what about your career?" I asked, grasping at straws. "You love your work too?" Tom nodded. "I do love my work. But Sarah, I've spent years studying child development. I know how crucial those early years are, how important it is for a child to have a secure attachment with a primary caregiver. And honestly, I think I'd be really good at it. I want this. I want to be there for every milestone, every first. I want to be the one who shapes our child's early experiences." I didn't know how to respond. Part of me was touched by Tom's enthusiasm, his clear desire to be an involved father. But another part of me felt cheated. Like he was trying to take something away from me that was rightfully mine. The conversation ended there, but it was far from over. Over the next few weeks, Tom brought it up again and again. He had clearly given this a lot of thought. He talked about the benefits of having a stay-at-home parent, about how his flexible schedule as a psychologist would allow him to ease back into work gradually as our child got older. He even suggested that we could have more children in the future, and he could be the primary caregiver for all of them. I found myself torn. On one hand, I couldn't deny the practical benefits of Tom's proposal. My salary was significantly higher than his, and my job offered better benefits. If I took an extended maternity leave, it could potentially derail the career I'd worked so hard to build. And if I was being completely honest with myself, the thought of returning to work, of using my mind in that way again, was appealing. But on the other hand, I couldn't shake the feeling that I would be missing out on something irreplaceable. I had always imagined that I would be the one to nurse my baby, to be there for those middle-of-the-night feedings, to witness those precious first smiles and steps. The thought of Tom being the one to experience all of that while I was stuck in an office felt wrong, somehow. As my due date approached, the tension between us grew. We both tried to be understanding of each other's perspectives, but there was an undercurrent of resentment that we couldn't quite shake. I felt like Tom was trying to usurp my role as a mother before I'd even had a chance to experience it. He felt like I was dismissing his desire to be an involved father and his capability to be a primary caregiver. And then, 3 weeks ago, Lily arrived. The moment I held her in my arms, all of my doubts and fears seemed to melt away. I was a mother. This tiny, perfect being was mine, and I was hers. How could I possibly consider giving up these precious early months with her? But as the days have passed, reality has started to set in. The sleepless nights, the constant feedings, the overwhelming responsibility of caring for a newborn, it's all so much more intense than I ever imagined. And through it all, Tom has been amazing. He's up for every feeding, changing diapers without complaint, soothing Lily when she cries. He seems to have an instinct for what she needs, often figuring it out before I do. And now, as I sit here pumping milk in the middle of the night, I find myself wondering. Is Tom right? Would he be a better primary caregiver for Lily? Am I being selfish for wanting to keep this role for myself, even if it might not be what's best for our family in the long run? I love my daughter more than I ever thought possible. But I also love my career, the sense of purpose and fulfillment it gives me. I always thought I could have both, be a devoted mother and a successful lawyer. But now I'm not so sure. Maybe it's not about having it all, but about making the best choices for our family as a whole. So here I am, Reddit, pouring my heart out to a bunch of strangers on the internet because I don't know where else to turn. Am I crazy for even considering letting my husband be a stay-at-home dad? Am I a bad mother for thinking about going back to work so soon? How do I reconcile my desire to bond with my baby with my ambition and the practical realities of our situation? I feel like no matter what I choose, I'll be giving up something important. And I'm terrified of making the wrong decision. Edit, thank you all for the overwhelming response. I never expected this post to blow up like it has. I've read every comment, even though I haven't had time to respond to them all, and I'm grateful for the diverse perspectives you've shared. Many of you have asked for updates, so here goes. It's been a week since my original post, and to say it's been an emotional roller coaster would be an understatement. After pouring my heart out here, I realized I needed to have an honest conversation with Tom. We put Lily to bed one night and stayed up talking until the sun came up. It was hard, and there were tears, from both of us, but I think we finally understand each other's perspectives better. Tom admitted that he'd been feeling a bit lost in his career lately. He loves being a child psychologist, but he's been questioning whether he's making the kind of impact he wants to. He sees being a stay-at-home dad as a chance to put his knowledge into practice, to shape a young mind from the very beginning. It's not just about being there for the cute moments, he genuinely believes he can provide the best possible early childhood experience for Lily. I shared my fears with him, my worry that I'd miss out on crucial bonding time, that Lily wouldn't see me as her primary caregiver, that I'd be viewed as less of a mother for choosing my career. Tom listened, really listened, and helped me work through some of these concerns. We haven't made a final decision yet, but we're leaning towards a compromise. I'm going to take the full 12 weeks of maternity leave offered by my firm. During this time, we'll both be home with Lily, sharing the responsibilities equally. This will give me the bonding time I crave and allow Tom to prove to both of us that he can handle being the primary caregiver. After the 12 weeks, if we both feel comfortable with it, I'll return to work part-time for another month or two. This will allow for a gradual transition and give us a chance to see how we all adapt to the new arrangement. If everything goes well, I'll then return to work full-time, with Tom as Lily's primary daytime caregiver. We've also agreed to reassess the situation every few months. If at any point it's not working for any of us, me, Tom, or most importantly, Lily, will make changes. We're trying to approach this with flexibility and open communication. Now, on to the reactions from friends and family. Hoo boy, that's been a whole other can of worms. My mom was the first person I told about our potential plan. To say she was shocked would be an understatement. She grew up in a very traditional household and worked hard to balance her career as a teacher with raising my sister and me. When I told her about Tom possibly becoming a stay-at-home dad, she looked at me like I'd grown a second head. "But Sarah," she said, her voice filled with concern, "don't you want to be there for your baby? You'll miss so much if you're at work all day." I tried to explain our reasoning, but I could tell she wasn't really hearing me. She kept making comments about how a child needs their mother and how she hoped I wouldn't regret this decision later in life. It was frustrating, to say the least. My dad, surprisingly, was more supportive. After the initial shock wore off, he admitted that he wished he'd had the opportunity to spend more time with us when we were little. "Times are changing," he said. "Maybe this is a chance for Tom to have experiences that many fathers miss out on." My sister, Amy, had a completely different reaction. She's always been the more traditional one in our family, choosing to be a stay-at-home mom to her 3 kids. When I told her about our plan, she was quiet for a long moment. "I think it's great," she finally said, to my surprise. "I love being home with my kids, but sometimes I wonder what it would be like to have a career like yours. If this works for your family, then go for it." My friends have been a mixed bag. My best friend, Rachel, who's also a lawyer, was thrilled. "This is feminist as hell," she declared. "You're subverting gender norms and showing that parenting roles aren't set in stone. Plus, think of all the kick-ass cases you'll be able to take on without worrying about childcare." On the other hand, some of my mom friends from prenatal yoga were less enthusiastic. There were a lot of raised eyebrows and concerned looks. One of them, Jessica, took me aside after class and said, "Are you sure about this? I mean, it's great that Tom wants to be involved, but don't you think Lily needs her mom?" I tried to explain that I would still very much be Lily's mom, that I'd be there for her every day before and after work, and that Tom was more than capable of providing excellent care during the day. But I could tell Jessica wasn't convinced. The reaction that surprised me the most came from my boss, Linda. When I tentatively brought up the idea of returning to work earlier than planned, with Tom taking over as the primary caregiver, I expected resistance. Instead, Linda's face lit up. "Sarah, that's wonderful," she said. "We need more men taking on primary caregiving roles. It's the only way we're going to achieve true equality in the workplace." She then launched into a story about how her own husband had taken extended paternity leave when their children were born, and how it had been the best decision for their family. Tom has had his share of reactions to deal with too. His parents were initially skeptical, worried about the impact on his career. But after long conversations about his reasons and his plans for eventually returning to work, they've come around to the idea. They've even offered to help out with childcare if we need it. Some of Tom's male friends have been less supportive. There have been jokes about him giving up his man card and questions about whether he's whipped. It's been hard for him, but he's standing firm in his decision. If anything, the negativity has only strengthened his resolve to challenge these outdated stereotypes. All of these reactions have made me realize just how ingrained traditional gender roles still are in our society. It's 2024, for crying out loud. Why is it still so shocking for a father to want to be the primary caregiver? Why are we still acting like motherhood and career success are mutually exclusive? The more I think about it, the more I realize that Tom and I have an opportunity here. Not just to make the best choice for our family, but to challenge societal norms and maybe, in some small way, pave the way for other families to make choices that work best for them, regardless of gender expectations. Of course, it's not going to be easy. There are still so many questions and uncertainties. How will I handle being away from Lily during the day? How will Tom cope with the isolation that can come with being a stay-at-home parent? What if one of us realizes this isn't what we want after all? But as I sit here, watching Tom rock Lily to sleep, singing softly to her in that off-key way of his, I can't help but feel a sense of excitement about our future. It may not be the path I always imagined, but maybe it's the path we need. So, Reddit, thank you. Thank you for listening, for sharing your thoughts, and for helping me work through this. We're still figuring things out, but I feel more confident now in our ability to make this work. I'll keep you updated as we continue on this journey. Quick update, Lily is now 18 months old. Hey Reddit, it's been a while. Many of you have asked for an update, so here's a quick rundown of where we are now. 1. The arrangement is working. Tom is still Lily's primary daytime caregiver, and I'm still working full-time. We've found our rhythm. 2. Lily is thriving. She's walking, talking, sort of, and has a personality that's 50% Tom's goofiness and 50% my determination. 3. Career developments. I've been made senior partner at my firm. Tom has started a part-time online counseling practice during Lily's nap times. 4. Challenges continue, balancing work and family is still hard. We're constantly tired, but happy. 5. Societal attitudes, we've noticed a positive shift. More people seem accepting of our setup now. 6. Future plans, we're considering having another child. The big question, will we keep the same arrangement? 7. Personal growth, this experience has changed us both. I've learned to let go of control, and Tom has discovered strengths he never knew he had. 8. No regrets, despite the challenges, we're confident we made the right choice for our family. Thanks for all your support throughout this journey. It hasn't been easy, but it's been incredibly rewarding.